It started on a quiet sunlit morning in the rural town of Maple Ridge, but that tranquility didn't last very long. A low, rumbling thunder rumbled in the distance, the unmistakable rumble of Harley engines piercing the silence. In a matter of seconds, the quiet was shattered as a band of bikers burst into the dusty roadside diner's parking lot, gravel crunching beneath their tires. Shepherding them was Rex Malone, a man whose surname instilled both fear and respect. His leather jacket was creased, his eyes guarded and far off, as though he'd looked too far down the road and seen too far into life. Whispers circulated about him, some true, some false, but there was one certainty. Rex was a man not to be remembered lightly. And before we continue, if you think kindness can issue from the most unlikely hearts, that second chances are possible, spare a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, where tales of compassion still cut through the darkness. Within the diner, laughter began to fade. The waitress, Mara, went from table to table with quiet footsteps. Her friendly smile could not conceal the weariness in her eyes, or the soft bruise under makeup. It wasn't the sort of mark one obtained from an accident. It was darker, it was familiar. Rex caught it in an instant. He'd seen that same expression once before, on the face of someone he used to love, someone he couldn't protect. The recollection struck him like a gut punch. As Mara filled his cup, her hands shook ever so slightly. She murmured a hasty thank you when he paid her, but her voice broke, as if she were in fear of being heard. From the distance across the diner, Rex saw the manager, a thick-set man with cold eyes and a sneer that said it all. Any word he hurled at her was laced with venom. Any move she took around him was cautious, tentative. Before the crowd dispersed, Rex had made up his mind. He sat in stunned silence as the manager walked past Mara and casually bumped into her shoulder and spilled a drink. Her soft apology was rewarded by a furious glare. That was all he needed. Later that evening, hours after the diner lights had been extinguished, Rex sat by himself in his garage. The neon sign hummed above clusters of bikes as his brothers laughed and joked in the distance. But he wasn't paying attention. All he could see was Mara's face and that bruised, he recognized expression. He'd seen it before, and this time, he wasn't going to walk away. Rex had promised himself a long time ago. Never again would he just stand around and do nothing when someone was hurting. And this time, he meant it. The next day, when the first light of dawn kissed the old diner, Mara entered early, her hair neatly tied back, her bruises subtly concealed. But when she peered out the window, her breathing stopped. The bikers had already arrived. Their chrome motorcycles shone like armor in the dawn light. Rex sat at the counter, anticipating. When Mara came near, he inquired softly, "Are you okay?" She nodded too hastily, trying to smile. But Rex didn't drop it. He communicated again, calm, steady, and true, the sort of tone that pierces walls people construct around their hurt. And in that instant, she cracked. Tears welled up and ran down her cheeks. The manager burst out of the back, his tone harsh. But when Rex stood up, the entire diner fell silent. One by one, the bikers stood up behind him like a steel wall. Rex did not yell. Rex did not threaten. He merely looked the man in the face and said, "Harming someone weaker than you does not make you strong. It makes you small." The arrogance of the manager dissipated. Muttering an oath, he strode out, slamming the door. The silence that ensued was oppressive, interrupted only by the soft claps. One clapped first, then another, and another. Before long, the entire diner was standing, not out of fear, but out of respect. The news traveled quickly. By evening, the town which had previously been afraid of the bikers viewed them differently, not as criminals, but as guardians. Mara quit the diner to work at a cafe downtown for a higher wage, where she was treated decently. And occasionally, when Rex came in for coffee, she'd smile and see him with a smile that finally lingered in her eyes. But the reality is, Rex was the one most chained. Guilt had imprisoned his heart for years. Assisting Mara freed him. His club members saw it too. They soon started charity rides, food collections, and fund drives for women's shelter. One gesture of bravery gave way to a movement, a testament that even the toughest hearts can soften the world. Months passed, and the sun set behind the hills as Mara stood outside, seeing a familiar convoy of motorcycles go by. Rex gave a silent wave with his hand, and she smiled, for now she knew. Kindness doesn't always arrive in gentle hands. Sometimes, it comes roaring along on two wheels. If this story moved your heart, or reminded you that true strength is compassion, take a minute to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, where we honor the goodness that still prevails in this world. And one last thing before you leave. Tell us in the comments, do you think even the toughest individuals can possess the softest hearts?